Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has pledged to make his country a destination for investment as he delivered his first State of the Nation address in Manila. Now, he says his government, elected in May, will need to balance health and the economy as it cannot afford another lockdown. CNA's Buena Bernal joins us live from the Philippine capital. Buena, we heard there Marcos talking about balancing grand plans for the economy along with the need to keep the people safe from COVID-19. How is he going to do this?
Well, no more lockdowns and a full face-to-face classes for the Philippines. This was the promise of Philippine President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. as part of the containment measures. But amid that reopening, he also seeks to hike revenue collection for the Philippines, and he says he's going to implement a value-added tax on digital service providers, which he says will be able to give the Philippines some 11 billion Philippine pesos or some $209 million US in 2023 alone. He also wants to provide investments in research and development in terms of agriculture. He says the government will provide technical assistance, financial assistance to Filipino farmers, which is really kind of an echo to the agriculture program of his dictator father, the late Philippine President Ferdinand E. Marcos Sr., called Masagana 99, that provided loans for Filipino farmers for their farm inputs. Now, in terms of the aims of the Philippine economy, he says that the Philippines will achieve upper middle income status by year 2024 and also reduce the country's poverty incidence by year 2028, which is when he ends his term. But critics have slammed his speech for a lack of mention of human rights, which is a much discussed issue when it comes to the Marcos family, as their late patriarch, his father's human rights track record during that 21-year regime was marred by the torture of thousands of dissidents. At that time, his ouster 36 years ago led to the restoration of democracy in the Philippines.
And on the foreign policy front, what did the president plan or talk about in dealing with the country's prickly relations with China?
Well, Mr. Marcos Jr. also echoed earlier remarks, standing his ground in terms of Philippine sovereignty. He said he will not give up a single inch of Philippine territory, and this portion of his first State of the Nation address before a joint session of the Philippines' 19th Congress was actually the part that drew the most prolonged applause from that plenary hall.
On the area of foreign policy, I will not preside over any process that will abandon even 1 square inch of territory of the Republic of the Philippines to any foreign power.
The yearly protests during the State of the Nation address of the president have actually called for Mr. Marcos Jr. to cooperate with the International Criminal Court's probe into the brutal drug war of his predecessor, President Rodrigo Duterte. But to the dismay of the rights groups who conducted their protests, this did not happen. It was not mentioned during the address. There were lofty goals in terms of the essential industries from that maiden State of the Nation address from President Marcos Jr., and he will have the next 6 years to be able to make good on his promise.
All right, Buena Bernal in Manila, thank you for that report.